Welcome to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your hosts, Rob and Randy, who reveal the truth, the lies, and confusion about health so that you are no longer the victim to mainstream medical dogma and you are the hero to your own happy, healthy story.
Hello and welcome back to the Happy Healthy Life Podcast with your hosts, Rob and
Randy.
And we are
the Happy Healthy Guys.
You know what? How many times have you told yourself, this Monday, I am starting over, only to fall off your new diet by Wednesday? Ever happened?
Oh, man. Yeah, we've all been there. The truth is, it's not that you don't have enough willpower. It's that your metabolism is working against you.
Today, we're going to break down why it is that willpower fails and how to overcome that willpower and not be so focused on the discipline, and how to make losing weight and keeping it off effortless. And today, as I was driving into the studio, I was passing by all these houses, and all the Halloween decorations are up right now. Right?
It's over the top.
It is over the top. It's ridiculous. and so with that, you know, Halloween's coming up, and in any grocery store that you walk into right now, they've got all the candy everywhere. And it was reminding me of when I was growing up. And we would go trick-or-treating in our little costume that came in that little box, right, with the little mask on there. They don't have those things anymore, but I'm dating myself. And my Halloween bag wasn't the plastic bag, because that stupid thing would always rip. I'd have like a big pillowcase to put my candy in. And I would get home, and my mom always wanted my candy first, because she said that she needed to inspect it for razor blades. There was this thing going around where people were putting like razor blades, I guess, in candy. I don't think that was actually true.
I think your mom was lying to you to dip into your candy.
That's exactly what she was doing, because I don't know what cockamamie story I told my kids, because I used to do the same thing with my kids as well.
You were picking out all the chocolate peanut butter stuff out of there, weren't you?
Of course I was. Yeah. Of course I was. So that's what my mom was doing. That's where I learned it from. So I have her to blame for that. And I'm a victim to that. Actually, I'm not. However, she would pick out all my candy and pick out, obviously she was picking out what she was wanting, and then she would hide it. What she didn't know is I knew where her hiding place was. If any of you had ever done this, but her hiding, you may even have the same hiding place, but her hiding place, if you could guess, even write it in the chat if you have the same hiding place. It was on top of the refrigerator, behind all of the cereal boxes or whatever kind of boxes were on top of that yellow refrigerator back in.
Is that a 70s or an 80s thing? Did everybody have a secret hiding place on top of the refrigerator that wasn't a secret?
Yeah, there wasn't a secret at all. So it would be up there. So I'd wait a couple of weeks, because I'd gone through my candy by that point, and I knew that that's where her stash was. And I would go up there and look for that candy. And anytime I went up there, it was gone. Or all the candy that I didn't want to eat was still there, but it was gone. My mom, only a couple of weeks later, had already eaten all the candy. Yeah. And I remember talking to her later that she would also put it up there to be able to keep it also away from her. But eventually, guess what took over? The willpower took over. And my mom was also that same person that said every Monday she was going to start a new diet. But it was every Monday. So lo and behold, every single week, that willpower took over. And I think that's why willpower really is a myth, because what is it that we always say? Willpower, at some point, it
will let you down. That is what we know about willpower. And I can tell you, it's a painful way to live, because really it's predicated on perfection. You have to be perfect and make perfect decisions at all times. And I can tell you, if your lifestyle or your health, you're planning on being perfect and using willpower, I can tell you right now, you are in for the struggle of your lifetime. And a lot of you know that. It just doesn't work. In fact, I've told the story of, my 23 days of ice cream in a row, but I don't ever told you any. I've always got willpower failure stories around ice cream back in the day. It's funny because people are like, well, Dr. Randy, you probably never ate bad, and you just don't even have any idea how bad I used to eat. But I remember I had gone, I'd gotten in great shape. We were going to the beach that summer, and I didn't eat any sugar, no desserts, nothing. And then I remember going to Florida and buying a half gallon of Bluebell ice cream. It was Millennium Crunch. It had just come out. So it was around the year 2000. So 25 years ago. Wow, I was 20, 25, 26 years old when I had massive addictions to sugar. And
Louisville, Texas company.
oh my gosh. And half gallon, not a pint.
Oh yeah.
And I ate the whole half gallon of ice
Oh my
cream
God.
and drank a tall glass of milk, and I laid on the floor and couldn't move. That's how much I had deprived myself using willpower, and then I snapped. So obviously not a good strategy.
Yeah, and here's why willpower doesn't work is because you cannot outwill or outdiscipline your biology. Cravings are there biologically for a reason. And so we know that to be true just
Mhm.
because of the science of how the body actually works. One of the things that we teach people, even when we're, whether it's a master class or we're doing a challenge, we always talk about making sure that you have a really big why.
Mhm.
Now, my big why is leaving a legacy for my children, being a role model for my kids. But at the same time, you know what? As big as that why is,
It is.
eventually, if there's
Yeah.
enough candy
Yeah.
around,
Yeah.
especially Reese's chocolate peanut butter cups, eventually the willpower would overtake.
Yeah.
Okay.
No doubt.
And so motivation is fleeting because as soon as you're no longer motivated, you're going to go back into what it is that you were doing before. So you have to really take a look at the body physiologically and ask, why is it that I am having these
Mhm.
sugar cravings? Or if it's not the sugar cravings, the carbohydrate cravings, if you're that person, or the bread cravings, or the whatever those cravings are. And I mean, even talk a little bit. You were out to dinner with some folks last night, and they were asking you about.
Yeah, it was an interesting conversation out with some good friends last night, and of course they wanted to pick every part of my brain on health, and of course I was loving it. I was having a great time with them, but they were talking about some of their food addictions, and they were asking me, hey, do you ever crave dessert, or do you ever want to eat something bad? And I was like, you're probably not going to like this answer. But the answer is no, I don't. And it's not because I didn't used to. It's because I don't deprive myself of anything. If I want something sweet, my body probably is craving some type of a carbohydrate. So I eat a healthy carbohydrate. And I can tell you right now, raw honey and maple syrup are two of my favorite go-tos, and they taste amazing. And I don't say no to that. I utilize that daily in my lifestyle. If I want something sweet, I'll eat fruit. I'll drink fruit juice, coconut water. These are all great things that you can have when you have a strong metabolism, and you don't have to deprive yourself. Where you get into trouble, and the reason why people crave these desserts, I think, Dr. Rob, is it's because they're not eating enough nutrient dense food. So, in fact, what was that study they did out of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, where they took the two groups, and both groups ate the same amount of calories, but one group ate processed, ultra processed, hyper palatable fake packaged food, and the other group ate the real food, and the processed food group end up eating more food and being more hungry because when you're eating food devoid of nutrients, you're going to remain hungry, and your body's doing the right thing because it's saying, hey, you need to eat more because I've got to get nutrients. And if you never give it the nutrients, you won't have the satiety. And now you're right back craving everything. So I don't deprive myself. I eat nutrient dense food. We eat bioavailable nutrient dense foods as much as we want. It creates satiety where you're full, and you don't have those crazy blood sugar swings and that crazy addiction to wanting to eat something bad.
Yeah, and I think on the in and on the other side of that as well, if at a cellular level you've got any damage happening to the cells, you can even eat nutrient dense food and still have an issue as well. And so just because of the way it is that our bodies are created, right? God has created us perfectly. It's amazing when you look at the physiology of how it is that we're created. And He's created us so that, for example, if our body needs to go into a state of survival, for example, or there's a lot of stress, it's going to spike cortisol levels up in order, like if a lion was chasing you, in order to be able to give you a surge of energy.
Yeah.
And then your body is going to utilize that energy or energy from sugar for fuel versus fat, and that puts you into fat storage. So even people who are chronically stressed, for example, are going to be teaching their bodies how to store fat and burn sugar, which is going to cause you to also constantly be craving sugar, for example, which is why you may even crave sugar or bread or sweets or ice cream. People, women always talk about that, oh, there was a breakup and the stress of the breakup. I just wanted to eat ice cream. That's a biological thing that's happening, along with the emotional component that goes along with that, because that's how our bodies are wired. And so the cool thing is you could go through an emotional, stressful situation in your life, like a breakup, and not actually crave those type of sugars or sweets or ice creams and things like that when your body is working the way it's supposed to. So when we look at even the hormonal, the hormonal cascade in the body, which is what it is that we've been talking about these last few weeks, and we've talked about several times, if there is a problem with, for example, your body's insulin, right? If there's a problem there, that can cause you to crave sweets as well, because there's some kind of damage happening to the cells. And so that right there will increase cortisol, causing you to store fat as well. So there's a lot of things that are happening biologically speaking. And if you do have that damage, this is why people also will try a diet, for example. They might try a diet like keto, or it could be the carnivore diet, or any of these different things. If there's damage at a cellular level, you're still going to end up with those cravings. And as soon as you stop that quote diet, then you're going to go back to craving those other foods that were destroying your metabolism to begin with. So there's a physiologic component to this, and that's why you have to take a look at how your body is functioning from a cellular level in order to be able to overcome that. We're going to give you some practical things that you can do to be able to overcome this willpower struggle.
Yeah, no, well said. It's a big deal. It's crazy how, if you end up where you're counting calories versus counting nutrients, you end up in big, big trouble, which is why, we've been preaching for a long time now about, surfing for your food and sci-fi, things that where you're focusing on single ingredient food items and simply eating real food, giving your body the food that it deserves to have and function on. And that really goes a long way with controlling the physiological side of this. But like you said earlier, if your metabolism is wrecked, what we've even seen too is if a lot of people are very, very toxic, they've got endocrine disruption from the things they put on their skin. In fact, we did a segment the other day in the grocery store where we went into the aisle. You could smell all the endocrine disruptors walking down the aisle of the grocery store. They had all these lotions and skincare products. And you look at the ingredients and you're like, oh my God, this is a metabolic, chemical, crap storm, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal with cravings, because if you're toxic, your body will become insulin resistant. You're going to actually store more body fat and crave more sugar. So to your point, it may not even be just what you're eating. Your cravings and your lack of willpower could be a toxicity issue where you've created a physiological insulin resistance in your body.
So are you saying then, or insinuating, that just by putting a certain type of lotion onto your skin, or a certain perfume, which all of these, these products have that were in the aisle that we were on, could actually create cravings?
100%. Whatever you put on your skin gets into your bloodstream. And, you think about, how many different chemicals we put on our hair, our skin, especially you ladies. I mean, sometimes your morning routine is an hour of lotions and makeups and mascaras and shampoos and conditioners and perfumes. And like, you're putting all of these chemicals on your body every single day. Think about it, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And then the breast cancer diagnosis seems to come out of nowhere, but you've been poisoning your body and you don't think about this. And so your body's smart. The reason it shuts down your metabolism and you crave more sugar, or you get those cravings, is because your body has to store the toxins and move them away from the organs, specifically the nervous system. So where do we store toxins in the body? We store it in body fats. You become a fat-making machine. You make more body fat, you become insulin resistant, you have more cravings, and you're shuttling everything away from the organs, and you're putting it in body fat, which is why for some of you who've even tried to lose weight on a diet, is there's weird places of fat on your body that won't go away. And the reason it won't go away is because you've stored up toxins and the body won't release it. So it's going to hang on to it, much like we talk about seed oil does the exact same thing. We're talking about these endocrine disrupting chemicals that you find in personal care products.
Yeah, so this is so much bigger than even just losing weight when we're
Yeah.
talking about metabolism and these endocrine disruptors. And, we're now bringing cancer. You were just talking about cancer, but that ultimately is what that is a toxic cell. And the body is trying to get these toxic cells out of the body. So we want to create an environment where your body can be able to do what it was meant to do, and that's to heal and repair and replace these damaged cells. And so that's everything that we're about, is making sure that your body is functioning better.
Hey guys, thanks so much for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. And if you're wondering about our Happy Healthy Metabolism products, go to thehappyhealthylife.com and at checkout, use promo code podcast to save 10% off any of our products.
Thank you so much for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. And as always, if you don't know what's going on with your metabolism and you want to find out, go to metabolismscore.com. Then let's talk about what we do to correct this. And if you haven't heard us talk about our T.H.I.N method system, and T.H.I.N is an acronym, and we'll go through that, but go back and listen to the last episode. It's actually episodes 133 and 134. Go back and listen to those episodes right there, because we walk you through the method that we use to be able to help people overcome this. And then today we're going to give you some practical things that you can do starting today to overcome your willpower. So the T.H.I.N method, that right there is what really does make willpower completely obsolete. The T in there talks about, for T.H.I.N, talks about the technology that we use to reset your body's metabolic thermostat. The H is for hormone balancing. The I is for internal cleansing or detoxifying the body, which is exactly what it is that you and I have been talking about, because of all the endocrine disruptors and all the chemicals that we're around all the time. And then the N stands for NuQ, or nutritional intelligence. And that's making sure that you've got the right foods in your body that are healing for your body, the right nutrient dense foods that are going to be healing for your body. You just have to know what they are. That can be able to help you. And if you want more information about that, you can go to either h2thinvirtual.com or go to thehappyhealthylife.com. I can talk more about getting involved with that. But let's go ahead and talk really just about some practical things that people can do right now if they're listening to us for the first time and they want to overcome these sugar cravings, or any kind of craving, or something that they feel that they're addicted to. People will say that that's their identity. I'm addicted to sugar, right? And so no, your biology wants the sugar, not because you're addicted to it. It's because it's being deprived of something that it thinks that it needs. So how do we overcome that?
Well, it goes back to what we said earlier. I mean, the staple of your plan has got to be real food based. We talk about surfing for your food, SERF, simply eat real food. This is food. If you set it on the counter, walk away for 2 weeks and come back, it should look different. It should break down. It should, start to decompose because it's real. A lot of the times you're craving things because you're still not getting the nutrients because of the fake food versus eating the real food. Sugar is not sugar is not sugar. The sugar that you would get from eating an apple is not the same sugar you would get from drinking a soda. They have different ways of reacting in the body. So when you give your body real food, you will create satiety. And of course, the new, and we also talk about sci-fi, single ingredient food items. So you want to eat foods that have one ingredient. An apple has one ingredient, an egg, a beef, an avocado. You're talking about eating foods that have one ingredient. This actually, and it's the new buzz thing that's happening right now in the world with these semi-glutides and all these peptides, talking about the GLP-1 activation that comes from the small intestine. Well, when you eat real food and you eat single ingredient food items, this is your body's best bet and best strategy to actually activate your body's own normal GLP-1 response from the small intestine to create satiety, where you are full and you are satisfied. And when you're full and you're satisfied, you're not going to crave and want to eat bad food. So it's not sexy, but it just really is what it is. Doesn't mean you have to be perfect, but the foundation of your nutrition, you should be thinking about counting nutrients, stop counting calories, stop eating low cal, start eating local. Local food, real food, nutrient dense food. Low cal's not the answer. Eat local, eat real. That right there is the foundation if you were going to start anywhere. Just simply eat real food.
Got it. So you're saying that rather than it going, okay, so you're going in the grocery store like we were, walking through the grocery store aisles the other day, and you're picking up, for example, picked up a box of these crackers that were heart healthy crackers
Yeah.
with decreased calories in that. So are you saying then that, rather than eating those crackers, what could I eat instead that would be nutrient dense that would help me to overcome the craving that I have for these crackers?
Yeah, because if you looked at the ingredients of the box of crackers, I don't know, 8 to 10 crackers, it's 200 calories. I think the second ingredient was canola oil. So obviously a metabolic poison. So yeah, you could, instead of counting the calories and managing the macros, you could just turn around and once again eat a piece of fruit, have a banana, have an apple, have an orange, have a couple of tablespoons of raw honey. You can eat amazing foods, but those are all single ingredient foods versus the box of crackers that had stuff I couldn't even pronounce. So a calorie is not a calorie is not a calorie. It's not calories in, calories out. What does your body do with the calories when you eat them? Does it store them as fat, or can it actually utilize them to create energy in our cells through our mitochondria to create the heat, to create your own structured water, to produce carbon dioxide? There's so many beautiful things that happen in the body, and most of it we don't even understand. And it can all happen from just replacing fake food with a better choice of real food.
Oh, I love that. Another practical thing that you could do, if you've never heard, or you've never experienced our programs, even we created a new product
We did.
called Crave Control that helps to be able to rewire the signaling between your gut and your brain to be able to help you feel full like you're
Yeah.
supposed to feel when you're eating nutrient dense food. I was telling Dr. Rainey before we came on is I always do I say always, about 99% of the time, do a fast from Sunday to Monday.
Yeah.
And so in this fast that I did, and I've been doing using our Crave Control because we finally got our new products. So those of you guys who have already ordered these products, they are on their way to you. And so I've been using them for about 4 days. And on Sunday, I ate lunch and I was planning on eating dinner. And so I ate a nutrient dense lunch and not hungry even a little bit for dinner. I said, all right, I'm going to do my 24-hour fast. As soon as we finished with our meetings yesterday, then I'm going to go ahead and eat. Yeah, still wasn't hungry. And so then I went ahead and had my dinner to break the fast. So I was having a grass-fed filet. It's probably like 7 ounces. And cooked my grass-fed filet in our SCT oil and had my favorite meal as a steak with some sauteed apples in the SCT oil. Ate the steak and really almost couldn't finish the steak. And then when it came to the apples, couldn't even finish half of the apples. I was like, wow, this stuff works.
And they work too
I
good.
can feel just my clothes fit
Yeah, it's
and
great.
feel differently. Don't have those cravings because it's helping then with the rewiring of what's supposed to be happening in the body
Yeah.
in a holistic in a healthy way by adding nutrients into the body to be able to help stimulate that system going on inside there.
It's remarkable. I don't think we could be more excited or proud of this product. This is something that we brought to life. That's kind of how we make products.
2 years in the making.
2 years, yeah. We get this idea around something that we wish existed, and then we make it exist. And this Crave Control product, I'm absolutely in love with it. And one of the beauties of the Crave Control, why it works so well, is it does create insulin sensitivity. So it allows your cells to actually take up more glucose at a tissue level. So you're not going to have the blood sugar swings. And obviously it does work in conjunction with eating real food. You take it before your meals. Oh, I want to take some too. You take it before your meals, and then it's going to help support the natural release of the GLP-1 hormone from your small intestine, among other hormones that work in conjunction with GLP-1, things like FGF21, things like cholecystokinin. There's a whole hormonal cascade of these enzyme pathways in your body when you eat real food. And by taking this, it's really going to help you heal and repair those cells so you can take up more nutrients. And you can definitely notice the difference with how you feel, less bloating, super mentally clear. I'm in love with the product, and it's a great, once again, you can't swallow health. Products don't change anything. You got to start with the foundation, but the right type of phytoceutical, the right type of nutritional support in conjunction with real food, it really can go a long way. So this is the perfect product to go into our portfolio, because that's really all we do is we create metabolic products that work with the body, that are natural. This is really cool too, because it's one of the ingredients in here is allulose. And there's a sugar in allulose called D-picanose, and it is a powerful satiety sugar alcohol. And so it's sweetened with allulose. So I love the taste of this Crave Control. Drop it under the tongue, hold it for a couple of minutes. It gets right into your bloodstream. We can bypass the gut, because a lot of you can't even absorb a lot of the things you're taking. We get this right into your bloodstream, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, and that in combination with our already great product, which was our
My
thermostat
turn.
that we actually improved, being our thermostat Burn Plus, and stacking those two together. And the thermostat Burn Plus, when you look at the science behind it and the research that's been done with even the berberine that's inside there, that research has shown that it actually shrinks your fat cells. How cool is that? So when you stack these two on top of each other, and if you're listening to this live, you get the benefit, especially the members in our group who are watching, of really deep discounts on this. So if you go to the membership page, if you're watching us live, your discount codes are on there. And too bad for the folks that are listening to this when it comes out, because our Columbus Day sale will have already passed, which gives you the best discount. But I think if you just go to the Happy Healthy Life and just go on to the shop there, that'll give you 10% off of your first purchase. So that's better than nothing, and you can go ahead and start enjoying these products if you haven't already. So great products. Another thing that you can do from a practical standpoint, especially if you're having one of those midday crashes, for example, and you're feeling your energy is going down, and you have those people. I always say that's why I keep some kind of food in my purse for the women, or they've got like candy inside their purse. If you're feeling like you're craving something and you need something, a great thing that you can do is our SCT oil, which is why we did an episode. Gosh, this is right after it had come to market.
8 years ago, right? Yeah,
8 years ago, where SCT, also stands for not just short chain triglyceride, but sugar cravings terminated.
Yeah.
And so a tablespoon of SCT oil in your coffee, or just a tablespoon of that straight, goes a long way and helps you with those cravings. And if you're one of those people as well, you could do a tablespoon of SCT oil right when getting home from your kids trick-or-treating, and that'll guarantee that you don't have any sugar cravings after that. However, we were just looking at a question that was submitted by one of our clients, and they were asking about something that we had talked about a while back, even going out to eat, for example. You could do SCT oil before you go out to eat, for example, and that's going to give your body the nutrients that they need, help your body be in a state of fat burning, and it's not going to want to crave the sugar. It's not going to want to crave the chips before the meal, or the bread before the meal, or the things that they give you. They give you those things on purpose. You know that, right? With the chips, for example, and the bread, because what it does is automatically, as soon as you look at it, just visually, and when you smell it, because it goes into your olfactory system and your nerves, that triggers your brain, and it triggers your brain to actually start releasing cortisol. It releases that cortisol, which puts your body into a state of fat storage and sugar craving. By the way, that's why you have those people that'll go into the restaurant, for example, they're like, I'm not really hungry. You eat one chip, and the next thing you know, it's an hour later, and you just devoured an entire plate of enchiladas.
Well, that's why the chips, that's why they cook them in vegetable oil, because linoleic acid it makes you hungry. So we've talked about this. It hits the cannabinoid system in your duodenum, a part of your small intestine.
That's the same system that weed stimulates, right?
It's the exact same system. When you smoke weed, that's one of the reasons why you get the munchies. Seed oils hit that same receptor and make you hungry. So that's why you just can't, like you said, you keep going through bowls and bowls of chips and you're eating more food, you're drinking more alcohol. It is a mess because it's just making you crave more food and making you more nutrient depleted because obviously seed oils block our body's ability to even absorb the nutrients. So now it's a double whammy. It's just the one thing I'll probably never do again and why we're so diligent about asking anytime we go anywhere, what are you cooking this food in? What's in it? But I can be rest assured if you're crushing bread and chips at the table, you're getting crushed with seed oil.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Okay, so far we said you want to overcome these cravings. You could do some SET oil.
Hey, the SET oil too, that's a big thing. That's an underappreciated strategy right there because there is a gut brain axis, right? And your brain really is the driver of dopamine and cravings. And so you're going to hit a part of your brain with the short chain fats because it's nourishing to the gut. It's going to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is going to put you at ease. So eating SET oil with your meals before you go, or if you're having a midday crash, like you said, is awesome. And I'll tell you what, the best strategy for me, because I always do this, I do 1 part raw honey to 1 part SCT oil. It is the perfect combination. It tastes unbelievable and it's so satisfying. So just don't want to minimize how important short chain triglycerides are to the gut brain axis and how that can really help you manage cravings.
Okay, so SET oil. Okay, would you say 1 part honey to
Yeah, just 1 part honey. So 1 tablespoon is what I do. 1 tablespoon SET oil,
SET
1
oil?
tablespoon
Got
of
it.
the raw honey.
Okay, and then so the crave control, we already talked about that, the thermostat burn plus as well, and then making sure that you're eating nutrient dense food or sci-fiing for your food, single ingredient food items only. We have a new acronym for the word THIN, being targeted hormone and insulin nutrition is everything that we're talking about. Will
We
help
are
you
some acronym dudes,
will
aren't we?
help you to overcome these
Good.
these cravings. And
Good.
so what this equals is life beyond willpower gets really fun. Okay.
Yeah.
And the last point is this is you don't have to live under a rock to be healthy. At one point in my life, I believed that in order for me to be healthy and me to be at a healthy weight, that I needed to eat sticks, twigs,
I know.
and berries and literally live under a rock and not come out because if I did, I'd do those things and I'd end up getting weight.
Yeah.
So you don't have to, and there really is freedom when you have metabolic freedom.
Yeah.
And that metabolic freedom helps to be able to give you more mental freedom and opens up space for you to do the things that you really enjoy, the things that you really love.
Yeah, you get your life back with the great metabolism. It's so important because your metabolism isn't just about what you weigh. This is your longevity play. I mean, this is how your body heals, repairs, detoxes. This metabolic environment that we're so in love with the thin method and the things that we're teaching you guys, this really is this is your healthcare. This is your investment in you. You are your greatest investment. And I tell you what, shortcuts, they're not going to get you where you want to be. It's not about losing or gaining weight. It's about being healthy, and a strong metabolism is at the heart of that. That's why we developed the thin method. That's why we create the products that we create. We want to have, access and resources to things that we know work, that work with our body. The greatest doctor is inside of all of us. You're not broken. You just probably just have a bad metabolism, and it's not genetics. It's not because you're getting older. You just never, maybe no one's ever showed you there's something that can be done. A lot of people think, like you said, that you had to be perfect and you just had this really bad metabolism, and it's just remarkable. It's amazing to see my best friend in his 50s now who just doesn't struggle anymore. Yet when you were a kid, you couldn't figure it out. And it's so encouraging to see this, that we've got now command again of our journey. We're not outsourcing this to anybody, and we're not going to be a prisoner to the big food, big pharma industry, because this is what we're seeing right now. We are chronically sick. We're more obese. We're more medicated. And none of this is because we all just have bad luck. It really is because we're being poisoned, and a lot of it we're just poisoning ourselves. So it's got to start there, Dr. Rob. You're worth it. You deserve to be healthy. You deserve to be happy. Start nourishing your body. What a way to honor God too, by honoring him with your body and nourishing it with real food.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. So that right there just shows, it's not about perfection. It's being aligned with how God created our body, not a religious statement. We would all agree that, our body was created to be healthy.
It
And
was.
the health does come from
It
above
is.
down and inside out. It's about being in alignment with that perfect design. So with that right there is episode 135 of the Happy Healthy Life, Overcoming Willpower. I think this is going to be a great episode for people because it's something that a lot of people are challenged with.
Yeah, and it's easy to you can start getting better right now. Just make one simple change and you'll start to see the difference. Just start replacing fake food with real food in one of your meals. And I can tell you right now, you'll see the difference. So we love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. As always, like, share, give us a review. We appreciate you. God bless every single one of you.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. If you enjoy the show, make sure to follow them on Instagram at the H2 Life or on YouTube and Facebook at the Happy Healthy Guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts.